Sleep Hacking with London Real, brought to you by Bulletproof. Learn how to hack your sleep.
Talk to me about boxing versus MMA. You're one of the few guys that is in both worlds. You know, there's not many people that really swim in the circles with the champions, the Klitschkos, and the champions of MMA. Yeah. What's it like, watching them two evolve differently? You know, we hear all about, the fighter pay being maximum for the boxers. Then you've seen MMA come along. What are your thoughts in general on boxing versus MMA?
Yeah, well, that's another great question. And let me just kind of answer it this way because, me working with boxers and me working in the MMA industry, you hear a lot of guys in boxing saying, these guys don't get paid nothing. But in reality, it's if you take 1% of the fighters, they say 1% of the fighters make 99% of the money in boxing. But if you take away the Mayweathers, the Klitschkos, the Andre Wards, these top echelon guys, and you compare the other guys in boxing compared to what these other guys in MMA are making, the guys in MMA are making a lot more money. You could have a 10-round fight in boxing and still make 15 grand. Some guys are making $8,000 to $10,000, and where you could have a 3-round fight here, and these guys are making 15 to show and 15 to win. And then if you get a knockout bonus, tap out bonus, fight of the night bonus, it's an additional 50 grand. But one thing that MMA has that boxing doesn't have is sponsors for the fighters. And if you notice, I think Andre Ward has Jordan, but very few guys in boxing have sponsors like the guys in MMA. So that's a big misconception right there. Take that 1% out of the way, and I think MMA is doing a lot better. But I years ago I produced a documentary called Boxer's Nightmare, and it deals with all the hardships at that time before the UFC came around, the hardships that fighters go through, and that's where that 1% make 99% of the money. But keep in mind, in boxing, a majority of the fighters have less than a high school diploma. And I know because I send out some surveys and I got all this information as feedback. A majority of these fighters have less than a high school diploma, where opposed in the MMA industry, a lot of these guys have college degrees. So there's a differential there. And but I think this, in the same token, this survey reaches both the same way, is a majority of these fighters that fight go in there with some type of injury, whether it's a small injury or a big injury. They're bruised up because of their training. And I think it happens in both sports. But that was a very good question.
This week on London Real, we have astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I wake up every morning astonished that an astrophysicist can have 1.7 million Twitter followers. The cosmos is anything where it's a frontier of human knowledge of how the world works. There's so many forces that want to deny a scientific truth just because it conflicts with their ideology. I thought of myself, because I could wrestle, as sort of a defender of geeks. There is no teacher in any time in my life, from kindergarten through 12th grade and beyond, who ever would have said, he'll go far. And the act of finding out is the lesson, not the lesson itself.
On Sunday, London Real presents Neil deGrasse Tyson, Cosmos.
I'm happy to report that there's an appetite for the cosmos out there.